This is a systematic survey for Riley Caney, in which I choose the practice of yoga. So yoga is the practice of adopting specific body postures, shapes, breathing rhythms, and meditative states for health and relaxation benefits. It's a Hindu spiritual practice, but has spread across the world as a form of alternative medicine and stress management. There's ample evidence to support yoga as a strong, beneficial practice, which will be further explored through both scientific articles and popular literature, which I'll be explaining to you. So first, I would like to explore the relation of yoga and wellness through scientific literature. So that is one of those things that is very popular in the scientific community, and as such is well researched with a lot of studies about it. And they generally support yoga as a mental health supplement. For example, in breast cancer patients, it was found that consistent yoga increased their quality of life, which was defined as decreased depression, decreased anxiety, decreased fatigue. And then furthermore, yoga is even shown to have a positive effect on cardiac disease, arthritis, back pain, inflammation, telomere longevity, neurotransmitter effectiveness, and stress. So the telomere longevity, that's one of those things that would result in, like, you wouldn't age as quickly. And the neurotransmitters are very important for everyday function within your brain and nervous systems. However, all this information must be qualified. First off, beside potential benefits with physical exercise, yoga cannot be considered an exercise alternative. It does not provide the same scope of physical well-being to the body as traditional exercise, like running or lifting. Instead, it's like a supplement, because it does have, important benefits and all that, but they cannot replace all of the benefits that more strenuous physical activity could. And then also, it is important to note that there's been several studies confirming that there's a lot of bias and errors with data collection in the studies that cover yoga. Second, I would like to explore some popular literature about yoga and its correlation to well-being. So they mostly align with the benefits with the scientific literature, which makes sense because they pull their information from scientific literature. They don't do the research themselves. So one of the articles that I found listed that yoga had positive benefits on concentration, attention, energy metabolism, some GABA levels, which is a neurotransmitter, immune function, and insulin production. And these, like I said, align with scientific literature, as those are most neurotransmitter related, which I talked about earlier. And they also found to correlate to heart health, fighting depression, decreased inflammation. Again, which relate perfectly to scientific literature benefits talked about. However, the one popular press piece that I found talked about the physical benefits, which are very well documented and more proven than the other mental and chemical balances. So it was a huge list, but the notable benefits include increased flexibility, increased muscle strength, increased balance, increased blood flow, a boosted immune system, and a better regulated adrenal glandal system, which is, adrenaline, which is important. If you regulate that better, you can have a longevity throughout your day instead of bursts of energy and being wiped out. It is important to note that they did not qualify their data. They compiled their data from outside sources, but did not further explain how the data was collected or what other potential issues there could be with the data set. But, it wasn't necessarily required of them, as they did list their sources. They had good citations, stuff like that. If you need to know that information, you can go find it pretty easily. So a comparison of the two data sets, for the most part, they tend to line up with each other pretty well, but I made sure to look for items that did not just list the same thing over and over again, so there's some diverse data points across the sources. So the popular literature branched out into the proven physical benefits, while the scientific literature explored the potential chemical and mental health impacts of yoga almost exclusively, which makes sense because, like I said, the proven physical benefits are pretty set in stone. We know that that's the impact of yoga because it's much easier to measure and there's less issues with bias and stuff like that. However, the popular literature data was oversimplified and inclined to mention any potential downsides to the research, and sometimes even presented like the potential benefits as facts rather than like strong hypotheses. And then, while it's a very minimal difference, obviously it's important to note that and know that. But without fail, all the scientific articles were very thorough in their explanations. They made sure nothing was conclusive and they knew that, and they explained it to you very well, and they shown their potential issues with the data, like bias or like a method of collection error, stuff like that. So in conclusion, yoga has been correlated to vast amounts of benefits across many studies. These benefits include decreased anxiety, decreased depression, decreased stress, decreased fatigue, decreased back pain, decreased inflammation, increased immune system function, increased heart health, increased neurotransmitter function, increased insulin production, increased concentration, increased intention, increased balance, and improved regulation of adrenal glands, amongst others. Some which I listed, some which are just in the article, so it would be a huge list of stuff. I try to fit everything. However, correlation does not necessarily indicate that yoga was the causation for all these benefits seen in the studies, even though the evidence does strongly support this. Like, you can pretty confidently say that may be a strong factor in it, but there's issue with data collection, like I said. I mentioned it several times, and potential biases that must be addressed before anything called conclusive. We need more studies, more research done into the subject. It is important to note that yoga is not considered sole physical and mental health provider. It is a very helpful supplement for exercise and mental health, but it is way too narrow in focus for complete care. But as for now, yoga has potential to greatly improve an individual's life and a suggested wellness choice with no known negative factors.